How to grow sweet potato vine. Making a self-watering seed tray is a fantastic way to give your seedlings a gentle start and save yourself some time on watering. Here's how I've done it in the past. Materials: shallow tray or container, water reservoir, seed tray with drainage holes, capillary mat, felt or fabric plant watering mat, potting mix for seedlings, seeds. Steps: choose your trays. Pick a shallow tray or container that will act as your water reservoir. It should be slightly larger than your seed tray, allowing space for the capillary mat and some air circulation. The seed tray itself needs to have good drainage holes to prevent waterlogging. Size up the mat. Cut your capillary mat to a size slightly larger than the seed tray. The mat should fit snugly inside the reservoir tray, but not block the entire bottom. You want some space for air to circulate around the edges. With the mat, fill a sink or basin with clean water. Submerge the capillary mat for a few minutes, allowing it to soak up the water completely. Squeeze out any excess water so it's damp but not dripping. Reservoir ready. Place the damp capillary mat flat inside the larger reservoir tray. Fill the seed tray. Fill your seed tray with your chosen seedling potting mix. Moisten the mix lightly with a spray bottle until it feels evenly damp but not soggy. Planting time. Plant your seeds according to the specific seed packet instructions. Some seeds need to be pressed lightly into the soil, while others prefer to be scattered on top. Seed tray on top. Carefully place the planted seed tray on top of the damp capillary mat in the reservoir tray. Waterproofing, optional for extra moisture retention. You can cover the seed tray with a clear plastic dome or humidity tray. This helps trap moisture around the seedlings and creates a mini greenhouse environment. Just remember to crack open the lid or remove it slightly every few days for some air circulation and prevent mold growth. Watering. The beauty of this system is that the watering becomes quite hands-off. As the seedling mix dries out in the seed tray, it draws moisture up from the damp capillary mat below. Keep an eye on the water level in the reservoir tray. If it looks dry, top it up with water so the mat can continue to wick moisture to the seedlings. Tips: seedling heat mats can be helpful for some seeds that prefer warm soil temperatures for germination. Place the heat mat under the reservoir tray, not directly under the seed tray. The capillary mat will help distribute the heat evenly. Don't overwater. The self-watering system provides consistent moisture, so avoid adding extra water directly to the seed tray. Light is crucial for seedling growth. Place your seed tray in a bright location, ideally near a sunny window, or consider using grow lights. Once your seedlings sprout and grow stronger, they'll eventually need to be transplanted into larger pots. With a little effort, you can create a self-watering seed tray that keeps your precious seedlings happy and hydrated, giving them the perfect start to their life. How to propagate sweet potato vine. Propagating sweet potato vine is a super easy and rewarding way to create a whole new bunch of lush greenery. I've had great success with two methods: water propagation and propagation directly in soil. Here's what I've learned. Water propagation. Clip it. Using sharp pruners or scissors, take cuttings from a healthy, mature sweet potato vine. Aim for stem pieces that are at least 6 inches long and have a few leaves at the top. Leaf it or leave it. You can either remove the lower leaves entirely or just the bottom pair, depending on your preference. Removing some leaves exposes more stem for root growth. Watery home. Find a glass jar or vase and fill it with clean water. Make sure the nodes, those little bumps along the stem, are submerged in the water, while the leaves stay above the waterline. You can propagate multiple cuttings in one jar as long as they have enough space. Root time. Place the jar in a well-lit spot out of direct sunlight. Be patient. Roots should start to develop from the nodes within a week or two. The water might turn slightly cloudy or brown as the roots grow. That's normal. Potting up. Once the roots reach an inch or two in length, your sweet potato vine cuttings are ready for their new home. Fill a pot with well-draining potting mix. Gently plant the rooted cuttings, making sure the nodes are buried in the soil. Soil propagation. Similar steps. The first steps are similar to water propagation. Take cuttings with a few leaves and remove the lower leaves if desired. Potting mix party. Fill a pot with a well-draining potting mix. Poke a hole. Make a hole in the potting mix with your finger or a pencil, deep enough to comfortably accommodate at least half of the stem cutting. Planting party. Gently insert the stem cutting into the hole, making sure a couple of nodes are buried in the soil. Firm the soil around the base of the cutting to secure it. Watering wisdom. Water the soil thoroughly until water drains from the pot's drainage holes. Don't let the soil get soggy, but keep it evenly moist, especially during the initial rooting stage. Tips. Whichever method you choose, use clean tools to avoid spreading any diseases. You can add a drop of liquid fertilizer to the water every few weeks during water propagation to give your new plantlets a little nutrient boost. Be patient. Whether in water or soil, it can take a few weeks for roots to establish and new growth to appear. Once your sweet potato vine cuttings have established themselves, you can pinch off the top leaves occasionally to encourage bushier growth. Do deer eat sweet potato vine? Unfortunately, my experience with deer and my sweet potato vines hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. While some resources say they're deer-resistant, in my case, that wasn't quite true. Here's what I've learned. Deer snack preference. It seems like hungry deer will pretty much eat anything if they're desperate enough. During the spring and summer, there are plenty of other food options for them. But come fall, when pickings get slim, my sweet potato vines have definitely been on the deer buffet menu. Tender target. The new, young leaves and tender vines seem to be the most tempting for deer. They can quickly strip a whole vine bare if they get access to it. Damage report. I've come out to my garden to find just bare stems left where my sweet potato vines once thrived. It can be pretty disheartening. So, while some people might have success with deer ignoring their sweet potato vines, I wouldn't completely rely on them being naturally deer-resistant. If you live in an area with a lot of deer, it might be wise to take some precautions to protect your precious vines. How to grow sweet potato vine houseplant. Growing a sweet potato vine houseplant is a breeze and perfect for anyone who wants a touch of cascading greenery in their home. Here's how I've done it in the past with two main methods: using a sweet potato and using cuttings. Growing from a sweet potato. Sweet potato selection. Pick a plump, organic sweet potato from the grocery store. Avoid ones that are wrinkled or have any soft spots. Sprouting station. Fill a shallow container or dish with lukewarm water. Place toothpicks strategically around the sides of the sweet potato, so the bottom half is submerged in the water while the top half remains dry. This allows the potato to sprout without rotting. Patience is key. Find a warm, sunny spot for your sprouting sweet potato. It can take a few weeks for sprouts to appear from the eyes on the potato. You might see some wispy roots growing as well. Potting up time. Once the sprouts reach about 6 inches long and have decent roots, it's time to move them to a pot. Fill a pot with well-draining potting mix. Carefully scoop out the sprouted sweet potato and plant the sprouts, making sure the base of the stems are buried in the soil. Growing from cuttings. Sharp shoots. If you already have a sweet potato vine, you can propagate new growth by taking cuttings. Use sharp pruners or scissors to snip off healthy vine pieces that are at least 6 inches long with a few leaves. Leaf it or leave it. You can either remove the lower leaves completely or just the bottom pair, depending on your preference. This exposes more stem for root growth. Water or soil. You can root your cuttings in water or directly in soil. For water propagation, follow the same steps as germinating a sweet potato, method 1, steps 2 and 3. For soil propagation, fill a pot with potting mix, make a hole for the stem, plant the cutting, and water thoroughly. Sweet potato vine care. Light it up. Sweet potato vines love bright, indirect sunlight. A sunny window is a perfect spot. Watering wisdom. Water your sweet potato vine when the top inch of soil feels dry to the touch. Avoid overwatering, which can lead to root rot. Feeding time. During the growing season, you can give your sweet potato vine a monthly feeding with a diluted liquid fertilizer. Pinching power. To encourage bushier growth, you can occasionally pinch off the top leaves of your vine. Is sweet potato vine a perennial? In my experience, sweet potato vine can be a bit of a debatable perennial. Here's what I've found. Technically tender. In most gardening zones, refer to the USDA Plant Hardiness Zone Map. Sweet potato vine is classified as a tender perennial. This means it can technically survive the winter underground if the conditions are mild. However, most places get too cold for the vine to survive outdoors all year round. Treat it as an annual. Because of the frost sensitivity, sweet potato vine is more commonly grown as an annual in many areas. Gardeners enjoy it for its vibrant foliage and cascading growth throughout the warm summer and fall months. Overwintering tricks. There are some tricks people try to overwinter their sweet potato vine tubers indoors. You can dig up the tubers before the first frost, cure them properly, and store them in a cool, dry place over winter. Then, you can try sprouting them again in spring to replant outdoors. But honestly, I haven't had much luck with this method myself. Easy propagation. The good news is that sweet potato vine is incredibly easy to propagate from stem cuttings. So, even if your outdoor vine doesn't survive the winter, you can always take cuttings in fall and propagate them indoors over winter. Then you'll have fresh new plants ready to go come spring. So, while sweet potato vine might technically be a perennial in some zones, it's more realistically grown as an annual in many places. But the ease of propagation means you can easily enjoy its beauty year after year. Are sweet potato vines poisonous to dogs? While sweet potato vine, Ipomoea batatas, is often listed as safe for dogs by many sources, there is some conflicting information. Here's what I found. Generally considered safe. According to the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA, sweet potato vines are not toxic to dogs or cats. This aligns with many plant resources online. Seeds can be problematic. However, some sources mention that the seeds of the sweet potato vine can be toxic if ingested in large quantities. The seeds contain hallucinogenic compounds similar to LSD and can cause hallucinations, vomiting, and other neurological problems in dogs. Safer to avoid. Given this potential risk, it's probably best to err on the side of caution and avoid letting your dog eat any part of the sweet potato vine, including the leaves, stems, and seeds. If you suspect your dog has eaten sweet potato vine, monitor your dog for any symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, drooling, disorientation, or seizures. If you notice any concerning signs, contact your veterinarian immediately. Overall, while sweet potato vines themselves might not be inherently toxic, the potential for seed ingestion makes it a better choice to keep them out of reach of curious pups. How to grow a sweet potato vine in a jar. Growing a sweet potato vine in a jar is a fun and easy way to add a touch of greenery to your home with minimal effort. Here's what you'll need and the steps to follow. Materials: a clear glass jar, mason jar, or similar. A sweet potato, organic, medium-sized. Toothpicks, 4 to 6. Water, optional. Decorative rocks or pebbles. Steps: pick your potato. Choose a plump, healthy sweet potato that's free of blemishes or soft spots. Organic sweet potatoes are preferred to avoid any pesticide residue. Toothpick trick: using 4 to 6 toothpicks, carefully insert them around the sides of the sweet potato at about the midsection. These will act as supports to suspend the potato over the water. Water level: fill your jar with clean water. The water level should be just high enough to reach the bottom half of the sweet potato, while the top half remains dry. The toothpicks will help you achieve this placement. Light and location: find a bright spot for your jar that receives indirect sunlight. Avoid direct afternoon sun, as it can heat up the water too much. A kitchen counter near a window is a perfect spot. Patience is key. Now comes the waiting game. It can take anywhere from a few weeks to a month for sprouts to emerge from the eyes on the potato. You might also see some roots growing down into the water. Water changes: every few days, refresh the water in the jar to prevent stagnation and mosquito breeding. Just pour out the old water and refill with fresh. Time to pot up: optional once the sprouts reach about 6 inches long and have developed a decent root system. You can transplant the sweet potato vine to a pot with soil. Fill a pot with well-draining potting mix and carefully scoop out the sprouted potato. Plant the sprouts, making sure the base of the stems are buried in the soil. Enjoy the vine. If you choose to keep your sweet potato vine in the jar, it will continue to grow roots and foliage within the water. You can add some decorative rocks or pebbles to the bottom of the jar for a more polished look. Tips: the water level in the jar isn't crucial. As long as the bottom half of the potato is submerged, it should be fine. If you notice the water getting cloudy or discolored, it's time for a refresh. While your vine can survive in water for some time, eventually it will benefit from being planted in soil where it can access more nutrients for long-term growth. With a little patience, you can enjoy the beauty of a sweet potato vine thriving in a jar, adding a touch of life to your indoor space. Can chickens eat sweet potato vines? Yes, chickens can absolutely eat sweet potato vines. In fact, all parts of the sweet potato plant are safe and even nutritious for your feathered friends. Here's why. Safe and nutritious. Unlike white potatoes, which can be harmful to chickens in large quantities due to a compound called solanine, sweet potatoes don't contain this toxin. The leaves, stems, and vines of the sweet potato plant are perfectly safe for chickens to consume. Packed with nutrients, sweet potato vines are a good source of vitamins A and C, which are important for maintaining a healthy immune system in chickens. They also contain antioxidants and fiber, which can benefit your chicken's overall health. Variety is key. Chickens can get bored with their regular feed, so offering them fresh greens like sweet potato vines can provide them with some tasty enrichment and variety in their diet. Fresh or cooked. You can feed your chickens sweet potato vines either raw or cooked. If you've cooked sweet potatoes for yourself, you can chop up the peels and vines and toss them in with their regular feed. Here are some things to keep in mind. Moderation is key. While sweet potato vines are healthy, they shouldn't be the only thing your chickens eat. Maintain a balanced diet with their regular feed as the main course, and offer sweet potato vines as an occasional treat or supplement. Wash it first. Just like with any fresh produce you give your chickens, rinse the sweet potato vines thoroughly with clean water before tossing them in the coop. Happy and healthy hens. By incorporating sweet potato vines into their diet, you can provide your chickens with a delicious and nutritious treat that helps keep them happy and healthy. Do sweet potato vines flower? Sweet potato vines can flower, but it's not a common occurrence, especially for the ornamental varieties grown for foliage. Here's the breakdown. Blooming beauty. Relatives, sweet potato vines, Ipomoea batatas, are actually in the same family as morning glories, Ipomoea purpurea. Morning glories are known for their vibrant blooms, and that flowering potential is carried over to some extent in sweet potato vines. Occasional treat. However, the ornamental sweet potato vines we typically grow for cascading foliage are bred to prioritize lush leaves over flowers. So, flowering in these varieties is infrequent and sometimes unexpected. Certain varieties. There's a higher chance of blooms with older heirloom varieties of sweet potato vines, or those specifically grown for their edible tubers. These varieties might produce sporadic lavender or purple flowers throughout the summer. Light matters. Flowering can also be influenced by light conditions. More sunlight can encourage blooms, while lower light levels favor foliage growth. Focus on foliage. The main attraction. Even though flowers are uncommon, the beauty of sweet potato vines lies in their vibrant foliage. They come in a variety of stunning colors, from deep purples and greens to bright chartreuse, and even tricolored varieties. Fast-growing friend. Another advantage is their rapid growth rate. Sweet potato vines are fantastic for adding a lush, cascading element to hanging baskets, containers, or allowed to sprawl over garden beds. So, while catching a glimpse of a sweet potato vine flower might be a delightful surprise, the main attraction of these plants is their decorative, colorful foliage. How to grow a sweet potato vine in water. Growing a sweet potato vine in water is a super simple and rewarding way to create some lush greenery in your home with minimal effort. Here's what you'll need and the steps to follow. Materials. A sweet potato, organic, medium-sized. A clear glass container, jar, vase, or similar. Toothpicks, 4 to 6. Water. Steps. Pick your potato. Choose a plump, healthy sweet potato that's free of blemishes or soft spots. Organic sweet potatoes are preferred to avoid pesticide residue. Toothpick trick. Using 4 to 6 toothpicks, carefully insert them around the sides of the sweet potato at about the midsection. These will act as supports to suspend the potato over the water. Water level. Fill your glass container with clean water. The water level should be just high enough to reach the bottom half of the sweet potato, while the top half remains dry. The toothpicks will help you achieve this placement. Light and location. Find a bright spot for your container that receives indirect sunlight. Avoid direct afternoon sun, as it can heat up the water too much. A kitchen counter near a window is a perfect spot. Patience is key. Now comes the waiting game. It can take anywhere from a few weeks to a month for sprouts to emerge from the eyes on the potato. You might also see some roots growing down into the water. Water changes. Every few days, refresh the water in the container to prevent stagnation and mosquito breeding. Simply pour out the old water and refill with fresh. Enjoy the vine. Your sweet potato vine can continue to grow happily in water for quite some time. The roots and foliage will develop within the water. You can enjoy watching it grow and add a touch of life to your indoor space. Tips: the water level in the container isn't super critical. As long as the bottom half of the potato is submerged, it should be fine. If you notice the water getting cloudy or discolored, it's time for a refresh. While your vine can survive in water for some time, eventually it will benefit from being planted in soil, where it can access more nutrients for long-term growth. Want to try planting it in soil later? If you eventually want to move your sweet potato vine from water to soil, here's what to do. Wait until the sprouts reach about 6 inches long and have developed a decent root system. Fill a pot with well-draining potting mix. Carefully scoop out the sprouted potato and plant the sprouts, making sure the base of the stems are buried in the soil. Water the pot thoroughly and continue to care for your sweet potato vine like any other houseplant. Can you trim sweet potato vines? Absolutely. Trimming sweet potato vines is a great way to maintain their size and shape, encourage bushier growth, and even propagate new vines. Here's a breakdown of why and how to trim your sweet potato vines. Why trim? Manage size and shape. Sweet potato vines are vigorous growers and can become quite sprawling if left untamed. Trimming helps you control their size and keep them within the boundaries of your pot or garden bed. Bushier growth. Regularly pinching or trimming the ends of the vines encourages them to branch out from the nodes, little bumps along the stem. This results in a fuller, bushier plant with more foliage. Propagation power. Trimmings from your sweet potato vine can be easily used to propagate new plants. You can root them in water or directly in soil. When to trim. You can trim your sweet potato vines throughout the spring, summer, and fall growing seasons. Here are some specific times to keep in mind. Any time for size and shape. If your vine is getting too large or unruly, you can give it a trim whenever needed. Regular trimming for bushiness. For a bushier plant, lightly pinch or trim the ends of the vines every few weeks throughout the growing season. Before winter. Optional if you live in a colder climate where your sweet potato vine won't survive outdoors in winter. You can take cuttings in the fall to propagate new plants indoors over winter. How to trim. Sharp tools. Use sharp pruners or scissors to make clean cuts. This helps prevent damage to the vine. Choose your cut. Decide where you want to make your cut based on your desired outcome. For size control, simply trim back the length of the vine. For bushier growth, pinch or trim off just the top few inches of each vine. Propagation potential. If you plan to propagate the trimmings, cut healthy vine pieces that are at least 6 inches long with a few leaves each. After trimming, there's no need to apply any special treatment after trimming your sweet potato vine. The plant will naturally heal over the cut points. Water your plant as usual and continue to provide it with bright, indirect sunlight. With some strategic trimming, you can keep your sweet potato vine looking its best and even create new plants to share with friends or add to other parts of your home or garden. Do rabbits eat sweet potato vines? Yes, rabbits can eat sweet potato vines, but with some considerations. Sweet potato vines as rabbit food. Potential treat. Sweet potato vines can be a tasty and nutritious occasional treat for rabbits. They provide some vitamins and fiber, which can be beneficial for their diet. Moderation is key. However, sweet potato vines should not be a staple food for rabbits. They are higher in sugar than some other recommended greens like leafy greens and hay. Too much sugar can lead to digestive problems in rabbits. Safety considerations. Organic only. It's important to only feed rabbits sweet potato vines that are organic. Non-organic varieties may have been treated with pesticides that can be harmful to rabbits. Thorough washing. Even with organic sweet potato vines, Wash them thoroughly before feeding them to your rabbit to remove any dirt or debris. Start slowly. If you're introducing sweet potato vines to your rabbit's diet for the first time, start with a very small amount and monitor them for any digestive upset. Alternatives to consider. Hay first. Timothy hay or other grass hays should always be the primary source of fiber in a rabbit's diet. Leafy greens. A variety of leafy greens like romaine lettuce, kale, and collard greens are excellent choices to provide essential vitamins and minerals for your rabbit. Overall, while sweet potato vines can be an occasional treat for rabbits, they should not be a regular part of their diet. Always prioritize hay and a variety of leafy greens for their nutritional needs. If you're unsure about introducing a new food to your rabbit, it's always best to consult with your veterinarian. What is eating my sweet potato vine? There are a few culprits that could be munching on your sweet potato vine. Here's a breakdown of some common suspects and how to identify them. Insect pests. Look for tiny holes in the leaves, chewed edges, or visible insects on the vine. Possible culprits. Beetles. Flea beetles, tortoise beetles, and Japanese beetles are all fond of feasting on sweet potato foliage. They leave small holes or skeletonized leaves in their wake. Aphids. These tiny, soft-bodied insects cluster on the undersides of leaves and suck sap from the plant. They can cause leaves to curl or turn yellow. Whiteflies. Similar to aphids, whiteflies are small, flying insects that suck sap from leaves. They may leave behind a sticky residue called honeydew. Other herbivores. Check for signs of larger animals munching on the vine, like missing chunks of leaves or stems. Possible culprits. Rabbits. These furry herbivores love to nibble on foliage, and sweet potato vine wouldn't be off limits. You might see signs of droppings around your plant as well. Deer. In areas with deer populations, they may occasionally browse on sweet potato vines, especially in the fall and winter when other food sources are scarce. Diagnosing the problem. Examine the damage. Carefully inspect your sweet potato vine for signs of insect damage or evidence of larger herbivores. Look for the culprit. If you see any insects on the plant, try to identify them using online resources or gardening guides. Natural solutions. Once you know what's eating your vine, you can take steps to address the problem. For insect pests, neem oil spray. A neem oil spray can be an effective way to deter and control many common insect pests. Insecticidal soap. Insecticidal soap sprays can also be helpful for eliminating insect infestations. Encourage beneficial insects. Having ladybugs and praying mantises in your garden can help control aphid and beetle populations naturally. For larger herbivores, fencing. Building a fence around your garden can be an effective way to deter rabbits and deer. Repellents. There are various commercial repellents available that you can spray around your plants to discourage herbivores. Additional tips. Healthy plants are more resilient. Make sure your sweet potato vine is healthy and well-watered. Strong, healthy plants are better able to resist pest and disease problems. Monitor regularly. Inspect your plants regularly for signs of damage so you can address any issues early on. Can goats eat sweet potato vines? Yes, goats can absolutely eat sweet potato vines. In fact, sweet potato vines can be a valuable source of nutrients for these ruminant animals. Here's a closer look at the benefits and some things to keep in mind. Benefits of sweet potato vines for goats. Nutritious supplement. Sweet potato vines are a good source of protein, fiber, and vitamins A and C. These nutrients can help supplement a goat's diet, especially during times when fresh pasture is limited. Improve digestibility. The presence of beneficial bacteria in a goat's rumen helps them digest sweet potato vines efficiently. Cost-effective feed. If you're growing sweet potatoes yourself, using the vines as animal feed can be a cost-effective way to utilize leftover plant material. Feeding guidelines. Moderation is key. While sweet potato vines are beneficial, they shouldn't be the sole source of food for goats. They should be offered as a supplement alongside their regular hay and grain diet. Gradual introduction. When introducing any new food to a goat's diet, it's important to do so gradually to avoid digestive upset. Start with a small amount of sweet potato vines and slowly increase the quantity over several days. Fresh or cooked. Goats can eat sweet potato vines fresh or cooked. If you've cooked sweet potatoes, You can chop up the peels and vines and add them to their feed. Things to consider. Quality matters. Only feed goats sweet potato vines that are free from disease, mold, or pesticide residue. Wash it first, just like with any other food you give your goats. Rinse the sweet potato vines thoroughly with clean water before feeding them. Overall, sweet potato vines can be a nutritious and cost-effective addition to a goat's diet. Just remember to introduce them gradually. Offer them in moderation, and ensure the vines are clean and free of any harmful substances. Is sweet potato vine toxic to cats? The information on sweet potato vine toxicity for cats can be a bit conflicting, so it's important to be cautious. Here's what I found. Generally considered safe, maybe according to some sources, including the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, ASPCA. Sweet potato vines, Ipomoea batatas, are not considered toxic to cats or dogs. Seeds can be problematic. However, there's some concern about the seeds of the sweet potato vine. They contain hallucinogenic compounds similar to LSD and could potentially cause neurological problems in cats if ingested in large quantities. Safer to err on caution. Because of this potential risk, it's generally best to avoid letting your cat eat any part of the sweet potato vine, including the leaves, stems, and seeds. If you suspect your cat has eaten sweet potato vine, monitor your cat for any symptoms like vomiting, diarrhea, drooling, disorientation, or seizures. If you notice any concerning signs, contact your veterinarian immediately. Here are some alternatives to sweet potato vine that are safe for cats. Cat grass, oat grass, or barley grass. Commercially available catnip toys. Small amounts of chopped vegetables like green beans or carrots. Consult your vet first. Overall, while the exact toxicity of sweet potato vines to cats is somewhat debated, it's better to be safe than sorry. Avoid letting your cat have access to the plant and provide them with safe alternatives for chewing and exploration. Where to buy sweet potato vine? There are a couple of places you can look to buy sweet potato vine, depending on what you're looking for. Nurseries and garden centers. This is a great option if you want to see the selection in person and get advice from a gardening expert. Many places will carry a variety of sweet potato vine colors and types. They may also sell already potted plants that are ready to go. Online retailers. You can find a wide variety of sweet potato vine plants and seeds online. This can be a convenient option if you can't find what you're looking for locally. Just be sure to order from a reputable seller and factor in shipping costs. Here are some keywords you can use to search online retailers for sweet potato vine. Sweet potato vine plant. Ornamental sweet potato vine. Sweet potato vine seeds. Here are some additional tips for buying sweet potato vine. Look for healthy plants with vibrant foliage and no signs of pests or diseases. Choose a variety that is suitable for your climate and growing conditions. Consider how much space you have available when selecting a pot size.